ready. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah, they got car restarts up to go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Welcome back to the Goat Locker Racing INVETS Grand National Series, and on this Super Bowl Sunday, we are here for 100 laps around New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I'm Scott Schreck. I'm joined up in the booth tonight by Dave Regal, and Eddie Smith is our producer. Dave, New Hampshire is a very tough racetrack that I know a lot of these drivers tend to struggle on. How do you think this race is going to go tonight?
I mean, we were talking about it during our pre-show, kind of warm-up, so to speak. And, we're expecting to see a lot of that unfortunate yellow flying. But something tells me that with such a small car count tonight, we might see, some really good side-by-side racing. I mean, this track at just over 1 mile has banking of only 2 to 7 degrees in the turns and then just 1 degree in the straight. So, I mean, realistically, this track is going to be a lot of backing those corners up and being able to float that rear end through to get it to rotate. And if you can make this car rotate nice and smooth, you're going to keep that green flag flying.
The New Hampshire Motor Speedway, 1 mile in length, located in Loudon, New Hampshire. 2 to 7 degrees of banking in the corners. It's a very flat racetrack. I think Martinsville, but a little bit bigger. And obviously, you've got the 4 turns around here. No tri-oval, none of that. It's a very straightforward racetrack here at New Hampshire. We'll take a little bit of a look at your schedule as we head through race 4 of this season. Daytona, Las Vegas, Auto Club, your races so far. And then obviously we're at New Hampshire tonight. We go to Pocono next week, off week to end the month of February, followed by Sonoma, Rockingham, Phoenix, Dover, and Michigan, ending your regular season. In the playoffs, the round of 12 will be Charlotte and Iowa. We go to Bristol and Chicagoland for the round of 8, and your championship for the season will conclude at Homestead, Miami on May 10th. As we get ready to roll here tonight, we've got about 25 cars in the field for tonight's race here at New Hampshire, and we are looking for a pretty good one tonight. What do you think are going to be your keys to victory to getting it done here, Dave?
Well, like I was talking about when we were breaking down the racetrack itself, the biggest key is going to be backing those corners up and keeping the car loose, because a lot of these drivers, once they get a full head of steam running down the straightaway, they have a tendency to maybe, dive in a little too hard. That causes the car to tighten up. You wind up burning the right front to bits. So, back this thing up, take your time, let other people make the mistakes.
And we'll get ready to roll here. Only about 30 seconds left in the qualifying session, but we've got some surprises kind of coming at the top of the board, and I think part of that is because some of the drivers that we more regularly expect to see in this series aren't here tonight. Like we said, shorter field for this one, so you've got some drivers who we might not typically see in the top 5, in the top 10, having some great runs here tonight. I'm going to take a look at your Jam Printing and Promotions Poll Award winner. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They've been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. And the winner of that Jam Printing and Promotions Poll Award tonight is the 57 car of Chuck Sweeting. He'll start on the inside of the 9 of Barrett Morton. In third tonight is the 27 car of Jake Ellingson next to the 4 of Garrett Kinder. And in fifth will be Mark Whitley in the 77. Ken Huber will go from 6th in the 40. Joseph McWhorter starting back in 7th. He's always the threat to win at these tracks in the 72 next to Wesley Burke in the 04. And then last week's winner, Judson Curtis, will go from 9th in the 29 next to Tracy Passons in the 53.
Devon Davis going to start to the inside of row number 6, while Daniel Parks is going to roll off in P12. We move a little bit further down. Charles Abert and Michael Jones hold things together in row number 7. Starting in 15th is going to be Fred Seagraves Jr. with Cody Turner starting in 16th, while 17th position goes to Mickey Isaac and P18 goes to Dave Calvert. Rounding out your starting top 20 is going to be J.J. Hisa and Armando Melgosa, with 21st going all the way back here to Jason Kristen and Brock Price in 22nd. 23rd is Chuck Feltz with Kevin Price rolling off in 24th. And starting last but certainly not least, shotgun on the field, going to be Kevin Price in the 80 machine. So 25 cars scheduled to take the green flag tonight.
I think we've already lost 2 of those. Tyler Gevin not in the session, looking like he will not take the grid tonight. And I believe Jason Kristen is our race control tonight, so he will not be hitting the track either. So it looks like 24 cars taking the green flag tonight. Jake Ellingson, despite starting up in 3rd, is going to have an EOL penalty from last week for making contact with Joseph McWhorter during that race, and he will have to start from the rear of the field tonight. Armando Melgosa in the 78, also going to get an EOL penalty. Race length, 100 laps tonight. Pit road speed, 45 miles an hour, and this can be a tricky pit road to get onto. If you do it out of turn 4, you pretty much got to take it in turn 3. 4 tire sets available, 2 green-white checkers, 100% fuel, and an iRacing fixed setup, and I would not be surprised if we got to see those green-white checkered attempts come out tonight, because we have seen them quite a bit, not just in Goat Locker Racing, but in the Grand National Series this year.
Jake Ellingson going to pull down here into the middle of the front stretch as he's going to allow everybody to roll on by. He's got an EOL to serve here at the beginning of this race. Chuck Pegleg Feltz, he's got the guns out. I'm sure he's got a brewski there on the desk, with Daniel Parks as well sitting just next to him here on our in-car cameras. So these drivers all kinds of excited, ready to rock and roll. Daniel Parks, though, kind of looks like he's got that zen peace about himself.
We'll see if he's got that zen. We'll see if he's able to make it up to victory lane tonight. With our 24-car field, it'll be Chuck Sweeting on pole. Barrett Morton joining him on the front row. Pace car will pull off as we come out of 4 this time. We'll head down to the extreme scoring restart zone, and we are green at New Hampshire.
Chuck Sweeting brings the field down here into turns 1 and 2 for the first time. The 77 of Mark Whitley works on the apron underneath that solid white line. They suddenly decide to duke this one out side by side as Hawthorne, Florida's Chuck Sweeting still leads this field. Don't look now, but Mark Whitley now looks to take over the race lead. A hot and heavy battle raging behind them, up here for the lead as well. And as they roll out of turn 4 and back onto the front stretch, it's going to be Mark Whitley getting credit for leading lap number 1.
Whitley is one of those drivers here who really likes to take the apron line. There's a couple guys in this field who really love to rip it right down on the grass, on the apron. Mark Whitley foremost among them, and it's working out really well for him right now, as he's already gotten about 0.2 of a second clear of Chuck Sweeting in the 57. Just by going down and running on that apron, the Sweeting has slipped back in a hurry. He's been forced up there into that high middle groove. He's already fallen behind Joseph McWhorter in the 72, who has gone from 7th to 2nd, although he did get an extra spot in line. with the Jake Ellingson EOL. He'll now be in pursuit of Mark Whitley. Both of these cars running a little bit further up the racetrack. McWhorter doing it to try and straighten his line and get a good exit.
Wesley Burke in the 04 now looking to the inside of the 57 of Chuck Sweeting. Wesley Burke now holding up traffic with Garrett Kinder all over his rear bumper. They're going to go side by side, rolling out of turn 4 and back onto the front stretch. The 04 just barely getting a wheel well ahead of the 57, and now Wesley Burke out of Georgia going to secure away P3 for the time being. A little back behind them, we see some more battles raging. This is Ken Huber in the 40 alongside of Barrett Morton in the 9. Barrett Morton now in a three-way battle with the 53 of Tracy Passons. Coming down here underneath, the Kalispell, Montana driver works to the inside now of the 40.
Yeah, we're going to take lap 4 here. 4 laps green in this race as this battle continues to rage further back in the field, where you've got Barrett Morton down there looking for that 7th position on Ken Huber. Both of these drivers who know how to run up front. Barrett Morton obviously starting this race on the outside of the front row. Problems for Garrett Kinder, and unrelated to that, the caution is going to fly on lap 5.
Looks like Michael Jones may have been involved here, as he's going to have to gather it back up and get back in the line.
There's some unrelated to this. There is some serious damage on the JJ Giza car. I'm not sure where that came from. We'll watch Michael Jones first here. He's just going to lose it off turn 2. He's going to get on the throttle a little too early. Sends that car around and ends up clipping that inside wall just a smidge. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely got away with a bad, what could have been a bad situation there. As we go over here once again, there is Michael Jones as he gathers it back up. That shuffles him all the way back to 23rd position right here as we are under caution number 1 of the evening on lap number 6. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and making us a part of your evening. And of course, our friends over at INVETS. INVETS aids veterans in transitioning to civilian life, focusing on job placement and finding the right community for veterans and their families to ensure their success and happiness. They're a veteran nonprofit in Indiana with the goal of bringing veterans to that state to live and work.
By the way, I figured out what happened to JJ Giza. He spun it into the pit lane on lap 1, got a little loose exiting turn 4, spun into the pits, and the rear end of that car clipped the tire barrier or clipped the barrels down there on pit road on his way in. He's now 2 laps down after having to get it in and out of pit road.
Well, that's going to be frustrating. We go right here to the INVETS replay, taking a look at the 64.
Not the lap 1 that you want there for JJ Giza. Just clipped it, but it gave him some pretty major damage on the right rear of that car. It does not look very good from behind. And he ended up coming down pit road, sitting in the box for a lap or 2, and then leaving again.
Well, that'll do it just about every time. You know, and we've talked about it, you know, this track is pretty technical, you know, as far as, you know, getting in and around this place is. So we're going to see some other drivers, especially, you know, those that we don't usually see up near the front. I mean, right now, you know, Whitley and McWhorter are up atop the pile, but Sweeting, not our usual P3 runner. So I'm curious to see, is that a result of maybe somebody sitting at home watching? Do we have to say the big game, or are we allowed to say the other thing?
I've already said it once, to be honest with you.
Oh, then we're fine. Then it's fine. You know,
it's fine,
is that
fine.
So? Yeah, it's fine. But you know, I'm wondering if Sweeting and Burke up here running 3 and 4, if that's a result of somebody else missing while watching the Super Bowl.
We will see. We got a Bad Bunny coming out right now, but over here we have the restart for Mark Whitley and Joseph McWhorter as we get ready to get back rolling. The pace car will pull off once again out of 4. We'll hit the extreme scoring restart zone. Whitley's the control car, and it's a great jump for him on that outside lane as he leads us back to green.
Yeah, you know, and the 72 of McWhorter now trying to hold off the 57 and the 04. I mean, you know, we see this time and time again where it seems like Joseph McWhorter is always battling somebody. And, even if he's got the lead in his sights, here he is trying to hold off, Wesley Burke and Chuck Sweeting, who are hot on his heels. In fact, Sweeting nearly making contact with the 04 as they roll out of 4 and back onto the front stretch here on lap number 9.
Whitley already checked out up there at the front of the field. Great start to this run for him. Great start to this race for him in that 77 car. As you're seeing a couple cars behind him follow him on that apron strategy. Less so as we get deeper in the field right back here around 10th, where you're watching Judson Curtis get ahead of Frederick Seagraves. Daniel Parks also in this battle as well. These drivers are staying firmly up on the racetrack, not trying that apron line like we see some of your leaders running, like we see Joseph McWhorter running, to try and mount a challenge and steal this lead away from the 77 car of Mark Whitley. Hasn't been able to do it yet, but he continues to lurk behind him. We'll see if he can get a chance here over these next few laps to grab P1 away. He's going to get a pretty decent run here on the back straightaway.
Week after week, we see Joseph McWhorter making these runs after the leader. And I mean, we've already seen him, like we talked about before, whether that was a purposeful starting from the rear or if it was just, bad luck, wrong place, wrong time. But, Joseph McWhorter from St. Robert continues to surprise us week after week and puts these performances on.
Joseph McWhorter, one of the best drivers in this series. Same with Mark Whitley. I'm glad that we were able to have a couple of the best drivers in this field week in, week out still make it to this one and still put on a good show for us up at the front of the field. McWhorter maybe thought about taking a lunge there, backed out. It looked high. He's going to drop it down here to try to get a better run off the corner, straighten his exit. And that'll work pretty well for him. He's going to get a run here down the front straightaway, but it's not enough to actually pull to the inside just yet. And he'll continue to stay behind Mark Whitley. But he's going to give him a little tap there. McWhorter, he's coming up the inside on Mark Whitley. Has the run. Whitley's loose off the corner now after that little bit of contact. And that's going to leave them equal as we head down the back straightaway. Advantage, Joseph McWhorter down into turn 3. He'll get the spot. Whitley will look to cross it back up. He'll go for the bump. It doesn't work. And now he might drop back to 3rd. Here comes Wesley Burke for P2.
Yeah, Wesley Burke now works to the inside of the double natural here of Mark Whitley. And here's the biggest thing. I mean, Wesley Burke took advantage of the fact that Whitley thought that he could give the 72 a little kiss here on the rear bumper. It didn't work out for him. So now Burke is going to take advantage of the run that he got. But now working here on lap 14, it looks like Burke has lost some of that momentum. And now it's back to just a two-way battle for the lead. As now, never mind, just kidding, all three of them want to get in on this. Now the 77 goes down to the apron, works to the inside of McWhorter. They come side by side down the front stretch into turn 1, and now Mark Whitley works just against the door of the 72, rolling through turns 1 and 2.
Wesley Burke is right on this as well. You're seeing out his in-car camera right now as he looks down on the inside of both of these cars, running so low on that apron, he's almost into the inside wall down there as Whitley and McWhorter slide a little bit further up. Burke continues. He's going to hit Mark Whitley. That's going to get both cars loose. They both have to check up. And Joseph McWhorter is going to take advantage and grab the lead of this race.
Joseph McWhorter, your new race leader, at least for the time being. Now the 77 of Mark Whitley dukes it out with him again. Folks, we see this week after week. It's the Whitley and McWhorter show. And right now, McWhorter taking the stage away from Mark Whitley. It's no offense to anybody else, but these two drivers have got to be the best on the asphalt tonight, right here working lap 16 of 100 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, putting on a great show here in the INVETS Grand National Series live on V-Speed.
Mark Whitley has some pretty big damage on the left rear of that car. I'm not sure if we can get an angle on it, but the left rear of that 77 car for Mark Whitley, there you go. It's pretty clearly punched in on that side. And that is really going to hurt that 77 car. He's not going to handle as well. He's going to struggle to get the power down out of these corners. Could make him vulnerable to Chuck Sweeting back here.
Working here on lap 17 of 100. Now, all of a sudden, a little 4-car breakaway from the remainder of the field. Anchored right now by the 04 of Wesley Burke. And basically, it makes that a 4-way battle for the lead as now the 57 of Chuck Sweeting gets in on this one. Now Burke looks to the inside of Sweeting. They go side by side into turn 3. And as they roll through 3 and come into 4, it looks like it's going to be the the 57 following Wesley Burke in the 04 as they come down the front stretch. So now it runs McWhorter, Whitley, and Burke, your top three.
Wesley Burke having a great run so far in this series. Almost grabbed a win at Daytona, was right up there over the last 2 weeks. He's got a lot of speed as you see Whitley get loose at a turn 2 once again. And that'll let Wesley Burke pounce down on the inside and try to make that move. These two probably don't like each other that much after that contact about 5 laps ago, and I think maybe that'll let Burke give Whitley a little more space. They're both loose off the corner that time. That's great news for McWhorter out in front as he continues to check out and pull away. Whitley and Burke still in this for P2, but neither driver really with a clear advantage. Whitley still ahead on the racetrack.
Mark Whitley now running in P2, trying to hold on for dear life, and it looks like the 04 keeps taking some of the advantage away from him. Overall, I mean, this is a great battle. Now it's kind of narrowed itself down to 3 drivers, the 57 of Chuck Sweeting kind of fading back, and maybe Sweeting sees the writing on the wall, and the Hawthorne, Florida native, says, hey, listen, I'm going to hold back here, as now the 77 looks to the inside of the 72. Mark Whitley gets ready to load up for Bear, but he gets loose coming out of 2 and down the backstretch. That's going to lose all of that momentum and now gap himself and McWhorter now by just about a quarter of a second here on lap 21 of 100. If you think about it, these drivers all, and the 77 again, almost looks like he's driving on some ice here, as maybe he's melted some of that car apart, trying to hold McWhorter off for the last dozen or so laps. As now the 77 creeping up on the 72. We get a good look at it from the rear bumper of McWhorter as Mark Whitley creeps around here, hauling it down into turn 3.
I would not be surprised if the left rear damage on that Mark Whitley car is causing major problems for him as he tries to make that run down to the inside of McWhorter. He's right back on the apron, but he's not able to get the run out of the corner because he keeps getting loose on exit. And I think that beat-in left rear fender is just giving him some aero damage. It's making it harder to rotate that car, harder to run the line than he wants to. Because of that, he's kind of stuck back here, sliding off the corner. The more you slide off the corner, the worse you're going to do, because it's going to eat up your tires if you continue to slide like that. Mark Whitley just kind of in a spiral right now where he might be faster than McWhorter if he had a clean car. He just doesn't.
Coming back down the front stretch to clock in on lap number 23. Now we take a peek a little further back. There's the 40 of Ken Huber running in P6 right now, and Garrett Kinder just ahead of him in that 4-piece. Garrett Kinder out of Elk City now, getting around Ken Huber as he kisses the wall just a little bit there on that safer barrier. We've got 24 laps in the books, and we're starting to think maybe if these drivers having 4 sets of tires, they might try to start using this basic, area of the race, maybe start thinking about, do I have to come down? Do I want to stay out? And really what it's going to depend on is our race leader, Joseph McWhorter, as we take one more peek here at the 4 of Garrett Kinder, who leads the 40 of Ken Huber. A lot of these numbers starting to stay close together on the racetrack. They're gapping Barrett Morton by just about 3/4 of a second is Ken Huber. And side by side to go, there is, check this out as Chuck Pegleg Phelps runs here in 19th position.
Chuck Phelps trying to make that move down on the inside there. The 45 car of Cody Turner back here on lap 26 of 100 here in the INVETS Grand National Series. Phelps, a little bit of a run there as you see right in front of him. Mickey Isaac and Dave Calvert are going at it. Isaac will get that spot. Chuck Phelps still hounding Cody Turner to the inside. This battle far from resolved. Turner looks a little bit stronger there on the top. He's able to defend. He's able to get the outside lane on these corners to get good momentum. Chuck Phelps, though, refusing to go away. He continues to sit on that inside line. Looks like Turner will now get clear, although he'll go way up the track in 3 and 4.
The thing with Chuck Phelps is, even though this battle is way back here in 18th, 19th, and 20th position, I mean, Chuck Phelps is still out here pushing his hands all the way up here on the wheel. It takes a lot of strength, especially with that direct drive force feedback coming right at you. So, one false move and all of a sudden you can wind up having yourself, broken wrist. But Chuck Phelps fights it after he kisses the safety barrier.
And we'll see if he goes for the inside here. No, he'll stay a little higher up on the racetrack there. A lot of these cars further back in the field are running higher lines than we see the cars at the front running. While, you've seen Whitley and McWhorter down on the apron. Judson Curtis still running on the apron here pretty deep into this run. Some of these cars further back, like Chuck Phelps, like Gary Wright, like Cody Turner, migrated up towards the second or third lane on the racetrack. I can't say it's working out for them because they are running about 19th through 20th right now, but they are trying that higher lane in comparison to, some of the cars in front of them like McWhorter, who are maybe entering there, but then who are dropping it back down to the apron in order to exit and get speed.
Yeah, one of the things that I think a lot of drivers forget to do is look at your race leader. See what he's trying to do, he or she, of course. And even as we work here, we take a look at the 27, Jake Ellingson, who had that EOL to start this race off. And, now the Milwaukee, Wisconsin native runs just behind the 09 of Stefan Davis. That's a lot of progress for Ellingson. I mean, qualifying in P3, but after that EOL, that's something to hang your hat on, so as he gets that Lincoln Tech number 27 just to the inside now of the Brandt 09. Barrett Morton having himself a little bit of a moment there. We go to the V-Speed instant replay. Let's see what the impetus of this may have been. And the 29 just behind him. Morton comes out of 2 and onto the backstretch. And as we saw out of 2 and onto the backstretch, as we saw a little bit earlier there, the 9 just keeps rotating.
Yeah, that's a rare mistake out of one of the more consistent drivers here in the INVETS Grand National Series, causing that car to get majorly loose. If we stay green here for a continued period of time, I wouldn't be too surprised if we end up with green flag pit stops at a certain point in this race. That could be interesting.
Here's the thing, and it's something that we don't see very often at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It is that green flag pit stop. I mean, if you're having a caution festival, more often than not, you've got plenty of time and plenty of ability to navigate that machine down pit road. But, if these guys have to come in from race speed and get that thing woed all the way down, and speaking of whoa, the 04 of Wesley Burke with a connection issue now peaks to the inside of the 77 in a battle for second position, and then is now woken up. And making contact is the 04 and the 77. The double natural holding off Wesley Burke for the time being, as Mark Whitley still holds on to P2.
Whitley has fallen quite a bit back in McWhorter. You can see it there on the ticker. That car struggling at the moment, and he is continuing to slip back through the field as Wesley Burke is now trying to put him back to P3. Whitley losing a lot of time, but the saving grace here is the cars like Sweeting and Kinder back behind him are losing even more time as they sit 4th and 5th, 3 seconds back in McWhorter, who's put on a show. Wesley Burke has had some internet issues tonight. That's not the first time we've seen him blinking. Might need to get that worked out if he wants to contend later, as now he'll try that move up the inside of Whitley. That is a very bad time to be having a connection issue if you are the 04 car of Wesley Burke, and I bet Mark Whitley is very scared of what might happen being side by side with the car blinking out of the session like that.
Yeah, we see this all the time on iRacing. Wow! We see this all the time on iRacing, especially, look, everybody's got a different internet connection. That's just the way that this simulation works. But, for Mark Whitley now, he's even taking his life into his own hands here as he works underneath of Wesley Burke. Because if Burke, blinks out and it kind of, I don't want to say startles Mark Whitley. I mean, bad things could happen literally in the blink of an eye, or in this case, the blink of an internet connection, as they are window net to window net coming down the front stretch and into turns 1 and 2 as they now roll through 1 back onto 2. Looks like that internet connection is going to stay stable for the time being for Wesley Burke as he works his way past Mark Whitley.
Wesley Burke will now be free to pursue McWhorter if he can keep Whitley behind him, but the gap is big, and there are some lap cars in the way. You see Michael Jones in front of him. He's gone a lap down. Right up the road, they'll have Kevin Price here in just a moment in front of McWhorter. So some cars starting to filter behind the leaders here. Some lapping taking place as we stay under green. here in the INVETS Grand National Series at New Hampshire. We've got about 30 laps green now. These drivers can make it decently far. It is 100% fuel load tonight. New Hampshire, being only a mile long, does not use quite as much fuel as some of the faster mile and a halves on the schedule. But if we keep this green, we can't be too far from seeing some green flag pit stops for tires and gas tonight.
Bryan, Texas's very own Judson Curtis working now toward the inside of Ken Huber, trying to battle it out now for 6th position. Huber able to hold him off for the time being in his Caterpillar machine. And now it looks like Curtis maybe backing off just a hair as he's got that thing down to just about 95 miles per hour in turn. He gets back on the throttle here, hauling it down the backstretch, and he hits about 150, almost 150. It was 149 before having to whoa it back down to just, I mean, this is highway speed for some people, 88 miles per hour.
And Mark McWhorter is just having a great race here tonight as he continues to pull away from the field in that 72 car. 1.3 seconds from Burke, almost 5 seconds from 4th place Garrett Kinder, 6 seconds from this battle on the racetrack. That is Ken Huber and Judson Curtis. Judson Curtis, obviously your winner last week at Auto Club, trying to go back-to-back. Doesn't look like he'll get it done. Here's Jake Ellingson up in the fight. Took an EOL penalty to start this race, started all the way back in 24th, but now, 40 laps in, has this car running up in 8th. We get a caution. I think Jake Ellingson could play a major role here as he tries to make his way back up to the front of the field after being 3rd in qualifying tonight. He'll try to get around Judson Curtis and Ken Huber over the next few laps to continue his charge.
You know, and I'll say this about Jake Ellingson. You know, he's been taking his time. He's not aggressively out there, you know, fighting this one off. He's just, you know, waiting for somebody else to maybe come off their line, miss a mark, and he capitalizes on it every time. I mean, when we checked on him just a few laps ago, he was running P10. Now he's worked his way into P8 as we work here on lap number 41. 60 laps to go at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Now the 29 of Judson Curtis looks to the inside of the 40. And as we peek out here going down the backstretch, this is going to be a situation, oh my, where maybe, Ellingson has to hold on, and he watches the 29 now getting ready to shove his nose right under Ken Huber.
Oh, car on the wall back there. That is Jake Ellingson in the 27, having a little bit of a moment there behind the wheel of that car as he continues to try and charge back through the field. 3 cars under a blanket in the battle for 6th position. Judson Curtis has been looking at this with Ken Huber for what feels like about 5 or 6 laps now and just hasn't been able to even really get any closer to him to get that move properly done to the inside. They'll go around the lap car of Michael Jones. Maybe this could help Judson Curtis. See where Michael Jones goes. He'll pull to the inside, and both of these cars should get around him fairly easily. Well, let's see if Curtis can. Yeah, Curtis will get around him as well. So both cars will get through. Michael Jones plays no role in this battle, and he will continue to drop back through the field. That is a driver who wants a caution badly.
Yeah, I mean, when you're trying to turn this race into, you know, a one-stop race, I mean, you're really starting to take some, at least from my estimation, some unnecessary risks. I mean, if you're good enough, fine, you're good enough. But for me, I was a fair to Midland driver on a sunny day. So, you know, I would definitely be using maybe an extra set of tires here or a splash of fuel there. As we're approaching the halfway point in this lap number 44 of 100 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You're watching the INVETS Grand National Series live on V-Speed here in the Goat Locker Family of Racing Series. And I'll tell you what, Sky, this has become one of those races where, you know, we worry about the excessive cautions and the things that, you know, New Hampshire can throw at you. But so far, so good tonight up here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, only had that one caution at the start of the race. Otherwise, since then, we've been running clean and green here around New Hampshire. We continue to sit on lap 45. Joseph McWhorter still out in front of this field. Really the class of the field right now as everyone's just kind of single file around the racetrack. Here we go. Green flag pit stops now going to begin. Judson Curtis into the pits on lap 45. He will be the first car down. And we will, I would assume, get some more here over the next few laps.
Now, Judson Curtis, so far the only driver to come on down pit road here on lap number 46. might be counting on that caution maybe to stretch this just a little bit further in the Lone Star number 29 Chevrolet Camaro. He's going to roll off of pit road and go down a lap, or at least one lap, could be two, nope, one, as he's going to get back underway. Joseph McWhorter, our race leader, still now starting to gap Wesley Burke by 1.9 seconds. So he has obviously gotten into that lap traffic and started to use some of those drivers more like a screen or a pick, to put some distance between himself and P2.
Yeah, you're going to see him fly through the field. We'll figure out the lap time difference between Judson Curtis here and what some cars are running. But, I mean, we've seen drivers 1.5, 2 seconds at most off their best laps over the course of this one. So the tires have definitely started to go. Mark Whitley slipping back through the field. A lot of drivers are struggling right now. And at the line, Judson Curtis is going to go 31.764. That is a second quicker than McWhorter and about 1.5 quicker than most of the rest of the field.
A little bit of a battle here down the backstretch. Brock Price looks now to the inside of Fred Seagraves in the 59. They start to battle this one out, and there's good stuff going on all over the racetrack as they nearly exchange paint coming out of turn 2 and down the backstretch. Once again, we see this deeper in the field, but that doesn't take the intensity and the desire for that next position away as Jake Ellingson and Barrett Morton come trotting down pit road to take a breather.
As we are halfway through this race now, I think once we get past the halfway point, that's when we'll see more pit stops continue to come, and we'll see more drivers continue to make their way into the pit box for these stops. As you can see, McWhorter in right there, Barrett Morton in alongside him. Halfway through this race, and I think the real question now is going to be, when do these front 3 or 4 cars come down? McWhorter, Burke, Whitley, Sweeting, all staying out on the racetrack. I think it's only really going to be a matter of time before those cars end up making the move coming down pit lane.
Guy, you and I both know that, Joseph McWhorter is one of those, I'm going to hold this thing out here until I can't anymore. McWhorter might do it until there's literally just a breath of dust in that fuel cell. Mark Whitley now coming down pit road. He is past the commit cone and going to get 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast here in the 77. Garrett Kinder, same way in that 4-piece and some scrimp, coming on down pit road. Loose as a goose just ahead was Judson Curtis, and now the 72 of Joseph McWhorter all by his lonesome. Mark Whitley comes in for pit service. He's going to pop the right sides up. This will be a 4-tire stop for the Jawa Dodge GG machine.
And he will be the first of that lead group of 5 or so cars to make their way down pit road. And we'll see if that ends up working out for him here. He's going to go 48 laps on this last set of tires around New Hampshire, and he's got to be careful to make sure he doesn't burn them up like he did that first time around. Might have taken the faster pair there as well. We'll check on that for you. No, he did not. Mark Whitley opting to stay with the damage, not using the faster pair. I wonder if he'll maybe be saving that for later.
Well, I mean, and I don't want to be that guy, but here we are. Joseph McWhorter has a habit. Let's just say a pattern, if you will. If somebody's going to challenge McWhorter late in this race, especially for the lead, he's got a pretty good chance at pulling the old chrome horn out. So if the 77 of Mark Whitley thinks, hey, I'm going to go after Joseph McWhorter, maybe he wants to save that faster pair to see if he might need that late in this race.
There you go, Wesley Burke down as well, so it's a 7-second lead over Chuck Sweeting for Joseph McWhorter in that 72 car as he continues to put a hurting on this field up at the front of this race. And I think he's just hoping this thing runs green because he seems to have a really good long-run car. He seems to have this thing in perfect shape right now. And if McWhorter can keep cruising up at the front of the field, I think it's going to be really hard for anyone to stop him or get in his way as he continues to go. Ken Huber will be in now as we continue to go here on lap 54.
Yeah, Huber, the next lead lap car and contender to come down pit road as he's going to get 4 tires. And there's the caution here on lap number 55. Caution number 2. and I don't see anything having registered just yet. So we'll see what happened and what brought this out as we wait for that all-important replay. Drivers going to have to woe these machines down. Those caution lights lit up on the outside of the racetrack. Just an interesting move here on lap number 56. And while we have the time...
That's going to be awful for Mark Whitley and Curtis and all those cars because they're going to be trapped a lap down. Now, I'd imagine they'll get a wave around, but they're going to be... I mean, they're going to be maybe 11th here behind all these cars who stayed out and are now going to get to stay on the lead lap.
Well, you know, that's the risk that you take here overall. You know, there are some segments of a race that, you know, you think to yourself, oh, yeah, we can hang on to this. We can go out there. And all of a sudden, you know, that caution flag flies and down comes the 72 and the rest of the lead lap cars, we presume, for pit service. And speaking of pits, we want to thank the GLR Pit Crew program. It's a monthly giving initiative designed to provide consistent, meaningful support in our fight against PTSD, mental health struggles, and suicide in the veteran and first responder community. When you join, you're not just making a donation, you're becoming part of a team. The team that keeps this mission moving forward, and you can learn more or join today at goatlockerracing.org and click on the Pit Crew banner.
Well, I've got even worse news for you, Dave, because that caution was caused by Wesley Burke and Mark Whitley spinning. Wesley Burke made contact with the 77 of Mark Whitley as these two cars were heading down into turn one, and that sent Wesley Burke around and into the outside wall. More damage for both of these cars, but Wesley Burke is going to get the worst of it there.
Oh, Wesley Burke just rear-ending the outside retaining wall. He cannot be happy after that. But you know what? Thank goodness he's the kind of driver that doesn't waste his fast repair early. So here on lap 57, he gets to rack him and stack him, do it all over again. As he's going to pull down here on the apron, looks like he's going to be issued the EOL from that event.
That'll make the recovery even worse for him because not only does he have to come back from that caution coming out, and not only does he have to come back from that damage, but now he is going to have to go all the way from the back of the field to the front if he wants any chance of this or even finishing up in the top 5 where he was before.
58 laps in the books. We want to make sure that, of course, all of you know that you can tune in with us every Sunday night right here on V-Speed. And, of course, we also want to thank our friends over at ATYL. You know, here's the thing that I've always thought was really cool. Without ATYL, I wouldn't be here. You know, of course, our friend Taylor Kitchens over there. You can also catch Goat Talk over on ATYL, which, of course, is the podcast for right here. And it's more than just a show. It's a platform dedicated to supporting our nation's heroes. So you can check that out over on ATYL Media. Or, of course, follow Taylor Kitchens and ATYL Media on TikTok or Instagram, all of your socials. And she is such a cool person, Sky. I mean, we sat and talked for about an hour, just the two of us one day on the phone. And I mean, just somebody who's really passionate about our sport.
Yeah, ATYL Media, always been a good partner of Goat Locker Racing, and I know they do that weekly podcast that a lot of the drivers here seem to enjoy. We're going to be 40 laps to go when we go back green, coming down to the end of this one here in the INVETS Grand National Series from New Hampshire. Joseph McWhorter, Chuck Sweeting will be your front row, but the order is all shaken up as Whitley is going to go back to 10th due to the 9 cars who stayed out on the racetrack and got on the right end of that pit cycle. It'll be Daniel Parks, Brock Price, up here as well as Stefan Davis, Frederick Seagraves, Charles Abert, Dave Calvert, Mickey Isaac. Taking advantage of that situation, McWhorter is the control car here on the outside of Chuck Sweeting. We hit the extreme scoring restart zone, and we're green at New Hampshire.
Hauling the mail down into turns 1 and 2. Oh, sideways goes the 71. And you can't park there. So, oh, the 44 just making it even worse. Well, that is not how you want to get your restart here after caution number 2. Let's head on back here to the V-Speed instant replay. The 71 of Daniel Parks working just over top of the 09, comes across his nose, loosens himself up, and all of a sudden gets turned the wrong way. Oi, the 59 finishes parking him, and then the job is taken care of by the 44, who just upends him.
That's a big hit there. That'll be major damage for both of those cars, and I would imagine likely a faster pair coming for both of those cars. Man, Barrett Morton just kind of gave him a shove into that one. He didn't have a chance to avoid it.
Oy, the 44 just kind of going smoking past the rest of the field as we get going. Look at this on the replay as we go on board. Just a nudge out of the way. Oy. As we look out that rear windshield, nothing but thankfulness there, as now the 44 just about ready to pop that last gasket as they head on down through.
Yeah, that's an engine failure right there. That's going to be a big one that he needs to sort back out. I hope he has that faster pair. If not, he is going to be in a world of hurt. He does have the faster pair, so that's what he's doing. He's going to limp it back around to the pits so he doesn't have to tow, and then take that faster pair.
I don't necessarily think that was anybody's, fault except for excitement. Sometimes, look at that, IGA, the International Grocers Association. Can't say I had that on my bingo card to see tonight on a car. I don't have ADHD at all, just completely sidelined my entire track of thought.
He's going to come out, he's going to take that faster pair, and he will be right back on his way with a brand new engine in that car.
Nothing like the old faster pair button when you were just popped. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out, which means we'll be going back green flag racing this time by, of course, drivers as they get those gloves tightened up once again. They're going to be sitting here hoping, hey, maybe we can get back underway safely this time around.
Yeah, we'll look to get back going here pretty quickly. It'll be the same 2 cars up on the front row and the same control cars. We didn't really get any chance to move these cars around over the course of that very quick run. It'll be Joseph McWhorter, and it'll be Chuck Sweeting here on the front row. As we get ready to go back green, we'll hit the extreme scoring restart zone. McWhorter gets the jump, and we're back green at New Hampshire.
Joseph McWhorter with another commanding restart over the rest of the field starts to step away from Chuck Sweeting. For whatever reason, McWhorter has really been able to make that apron line work for himself as we work here on lap number 64 past the halfway point, and now we've got that checkered flag in our sights. The 72 being harassed now by the 57 who takes the higher line, but it almost seems like Chuck Sweeting running very tight. You have to wonder if maybe the 72 took my advice from earlier and backed that corner up nice and easy.
Ken Huber down there looking on the inside, along with Barrett Morton. Contact with a 53 car of Tracy Passons, and we're going to go 3 wide off the corner. This might not end well. Everybody gets it out, okay.
I can tell you this much, the 9 just forgot to breathe for a second as they suddenly go 3 wide. This is something we don't see every day, that's for sure. As we look further back, the 45 of Cody Turner, the meet, and that sandwich, the 53 of Tracy Passons over top, and Dave Calvert in the 90 looking on from behind as the 04 now starts to try to find his way back toward the front of this pack, as he's at this point would be the lucky dog trapped a lap down.
Wesley Burke now on the inside trying to recover from that EOL penalty, but like you said, trapped the lap down at the moment, so he is going to need that lucky dog if he wants any chance to get this back. Moving his way through the inside. Doesn't seem to matter to him that he's a lap down. We got a wreck in the back of the field. That'll bring out the caution for the 80 of Kevin Price.
Yeah, cautions are starting to breed cautions as Kevin Price here has to gather it up and get back underway. I'm sure that we're about to go see. There it is, the V-Speed instant replay. Kevin Price here in the 80 machine, right up behind. Oh, there's the 02 just behind him. As they roll out, it looks like the 02 just tags him out of 4 and sends him spinning down the front stretch.
That'll be, what, our 4th caution of the night, I think? I don't know. My brain's not working too well right now.
This is definitely caution number 4. I know that you're not feeling the greatest, but yeah.
I can still count. I can still count.
Yeah, look at you.
I haven't
7
lost that
years
many
of
brain
college
cells
down
yet
the
by
drain.
stuffing Vicks Vapor Rub directly under my nose.
As long as you're not doing that thing where you drink the Vicks mixed in tea.
Oh
or whatever
Lord,
that thing is.
absolutely
That
not.
is
No.
So
We've got the rotation here. We've got the Afrin spray. That's been huge, but I'm kind of maxed out on it. You can only use it for a certain amount of days before it just makes everything worse. I've got the brought some flow days today. We're gonna head out after this. We're gonna get a saline spray because I don't want to use Afrin, but I still need the like very quick relief. We're making it work. It's not fun though. It's not fun. I was better 2 hours ago, unfortunately.
You know, I'm not going to lie. Fastest remedy that I've found so far, not that I want to be giving medical advice on the air, but the Neomed squeezy bottle with the saline.
I've heard about these.
Buddy,
Heard
listen,
about these.
I'm telling you right now, that Neomed squeezy bottle, fabulous.
I've heard about these. I was gonna get a little saline spray, but I guess that's kind of a the enhanced version of that.
I'm telling you, it forces the death out of your nose and your sinuses. And like, I'm pretty sure I got snot out of my nose that was there when I was 7.
I might try that tonight. We'll see how that works.
I mean, doing what you do going to school and what we do here on V-Speed, you'll thank me in the morning, I promise. But anyway, back to the iRacing event that's in front of us. Joseph McWhorter going to be restarting in P1. He's going to be joined in the front row by Chuck Sweeting, Jake Ellingson, Fred Seagraves Jr., Brock Price, Garrett Kinder, Mark Whitley, Barrett Morton, Ken Huber, and Judson Curtis going to be your restarting top 10 as the iRacing.com pace car brings us across the start-finish line and turns the lights off. So it means we'll be getting ready to go green flag racing this time by on lap number 71, which will be 30 laps to go when we go green.
Time running out in this race. Time running out for these drivers to make moves up through the field. Going to be a pass through under green. Going to be going to Ken Huber here. Restart violation for that car. So he will be 9th, but he's going to be probably a lap down after having to take a pass through under green. That is going to be a disaster for him.
Yeah, huge move for that. I mean, especially at this point. But, oof. I mean, this is going to be a long 30 laps if these cautions keep rolling out the way they do.
Well, we'll see. It'll be McWhorter and Chuck Sweeting once again on that front row with Jake Ellingson in 4th. We're back green here at New Hampshire.
They're battling it out, making contact. The 27, 59, and 4 all at once as they go 3 wide. Oh, the 27 just gets nosed at the wall, bounces into the air, and as he goes pirouetting down the backstretch and comes to a rest, Jake Ellingson, not a happy camper, especially as everybody has to get around him. Ellingson pulls aggressively down onto the access road and hits the tow button. So as we go back to the V-Speed Instant Replay, we're going to get a great view of this from high above the racetrack. Oof. Like a ping pong.
And that is, I mean, he's had such a bad couple weeks. I feel like Jake Ellingson always getting caught up in accidents, and this is just the latest example of Jake Ellingson having a bad time here in the Grand National Series. You'll see it right here down through turn 1, just kind of gets stacked up there with all those cars next to him. Coming off the corner, comes up a little too much, ping-pongs around, and there you go.
You know, and it's unfortunate, you know, Jake Ellingson getting wrapped up in stuff that, at least for my money, he didn't cause. And I'm not trying to advocate for any one particular driver, but, you know, so many times throughout a race, you know, we'll be calling somebody's number and say, oh my goodness, it wasn't them, but this time I really do have to say it wasn't them, as we work here on lap number 73 of 100 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And, you know, every night of the week, we get to see some really incredible racing in the Goat Locker family of racing series. And tonight here on Sundays is no different, as we want to thank our friends over at Cruisin' Classics. Located in Columbus, Ohio, Cruisin' Classics has a beautiful 56,000 square foot showroom filled with hundreds of unique automobiles. There is something for everybody out of their hand-picked selection of muscle cars and hot rods. So come on down to visit the facility today and check out their website at cruisingclassicsinc.com.
We will get ready to get back rolling here. The lights on the pace car will pull off. And once again, 25 to go here at New Hampshire. The pressure is going to be on, and I think the pressure is only going to be ramped up after those last two cautions. The last 2 or 3 cautions have really thrown a wrench in everything, Dave. So we'll get ready to roll. Down the back straightaway here with Joseph McWhorter and Chuck Sweeting going at it for the lead of the race. Once again, McWhorter's been able to stabilize up there in the front of the field. But because we haven't had any real green flag racing here in a little bit, we've had a lot of cautions. McWhorter hasn't really faced a threat from Sweeting. We'll see if we can get some green flag racing, and we'll see if Chuck Sweeting can make it interesting down there on the inside lane. As we come out of turn 4. It's Joseph McWhorter. It's Chuck Sweeting. We're back in the extreme scoring restart zone, and we're back green at New Hampshire.
The 57 of Chuck Sweeting now starting to challenge for the race lead, but there's a battle behind him starting to brew between Garrett Kinder and Brock Price. Brock Price in the 43 starts to lay it on hot and heavy against Garrett Kinder, who now has to start worrying about whether or not the 29 of Judson Curtis is going to be a problem. The 09 now of Stefan Davis gets into the mix, and all of a sudden we've got a 3-way battle for 4th position and a 4-way battle for 3rd.
Battles going on all over the racetrack here shortly after this restart, as we're almost 3 wide up there, a little bit behind this. As you see those cars of Brock Price mixing it up. Judson Curtis, Stefan Davis back in this battle as well. Curtis back down to the inside here looking for P4 on Price, who is almost up on the outside wall. He's running such a weirdly high line there. It's not something you see often. It's not really going to work. Judson Curtis gets the spot for P4. Price back to P5.
Yeah, you know, we have seen a few times today with 3 wide incidents. And I'm not saying that this track isn't wide enough to do it physically, but it's the logistics of trying to squeeze it in there, you know, at race speed. As now all of a sudden, and Joseph McWhorter starts to sweat just a little bit as Chuck Sweeting has been closing that gap. And Chuck Sweeting now has that gap down to just about a 1/4 of a second. You know, I think this is going to be a situation where Sweeting is going to have to sweat out McWhorter as the caution comes out for caution number 6 of the night here on lap number 78. And the 80 of Kevin Price all over the racetrack. You can't park there. Can't park there as we go to the V-Speed instant replay.
Yet another issue there for the 80 of Kevin Price, who is having a bad time tonight. What I think would be the best word to describe it. Oh, wow. 45 just lost it in front of him. Kevin Price loose trying to avoid. That's a couple hits there for that 45 car of Cody Turner.
You know, the closer that we get to that final lap as we go on board with Cody Turner here in the 45, you can see there's just nothing he can do. There's no compensation that he can offer to try to keep that thing pointed the right direction. You know, and I think that that's probably the most helpless that you can feel as a driver, when you know that all you can do is stand on the brake and hold your wheel steady and wait for the dust to settle.
We'll be under 20 to go when we get rolling back green here at New Hampshire. And it's just kind of the same front row there because we haven't had too much green flag racing to really mix it up at all. It's still just Joseph McWhorter, Chuck Sweeting, 20 to go. What are you looking for, Dave?
I mean, I'm looking for some of this heat to get turned up. I mean, you know, we're at, I don't want to say the twilight of this race, but this last 20 laps that we're going to see when we get underway, it's going to be hot, it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be something crazy. You know, we've seen, especially drivers like Joseph McWhorter, when they realize that their lead and that their race is in jeopardy, that he's willing to pull out all of those stops on this machine and make it happen.
We get ready to get back going, still under caution here at New Hampshire. So we'll give you a little bit of a full field rundown. Joseph McWhorter, your race leader. Chuck Sweeting sits in P2. Garrett Kinder, Judson Curtis, Stefan Davis, your current top 5. Wesley Burke, Barrett Morton, Dave Calvert, Daniel Parks, Brock Price. The rest of the field back from there in the top 10. And then you've got Michael Jones, who's recovered from being a lap down and near dead last earlier in this race to get to P11, excuse me. Mark Whitley, Frederick Seagraves, Charles Abert, Mickey Isaac, Tracy Passage, Chuck Phelps, Cody Turner. The rest of your cars on the lead lap. And then Kevin Price, Gary Wright, JJ Giza, Armando Melgoza, Ken Hubert, Jacob Ellingson, all 1 or more laps down. Jacob Ellingson and Ken Hubert, I believe, both out of the race for the night. They have gone and they have put the Super Bowl on.
Side by side they go. It's going to be McWhorter, Sweeting, Curtis, Kinder, Burke, Davis, Morton, Calvert, Parks, and Michael Jones rounding out your restarting top 10. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out. As we work here, you're watching the INVETS Grand National Series live on V-Speed, part of the Goat Locker Racing family of series. And folks, you can check out Goat Locker Racing. I think it's 7 nights a week now officially. Right, Sky?
I think so. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. We don't broadcast them all, but I think it is 7 nights a week now here at Goat Locker. Pace car will pull in, and McWhorter will get another good jump to the outside, hopefully here in the extreme scoring restart zone. He will get a good jump, and we'll go back green.
They're duking it out behind him in a battle for third position as the 4 and the 29 start to go at it. There are fights all over the racetrack. We see Chuck Sweeting and Joseph McWhorter fighting in the front, and the caution comes out. And it's not even near where this battle was.
It is Charles Abert around in turn 2. And, well, this started well in front of Charles Abert. It's gonna start with Daniel Parks up here going around.
Daniel Parks in the 71 has himself a moment. He gets kind of mixed up in that salad bowl, and Charles Abert is kind of collateral damage here. You know, the thing is, these drivers weren't even the ones out there battling for the lead. They were side by side back here deep in the field, and it seems like they want to really make this last segment of the race kind of a race of attrition. Real high-scoring affair out in California tonight, huh?
Yeah, I'll have to, how's it going? What's the score on that one? I'm not paying too much attention.
It's 12-0 with 7:34 left in the third, Seattle. And at this point, I feel like down like a sack of potatoes goes Darnold. I was about to say that, you know, the Jets have got to be some kind of nauseous after watching Sam Darnold go out here and have a successful season in Seattle.
I'm going to win the Super Bowl, too, I would have to imagine.
Yeah. You know, Sam Darnold is kind of living that same renaissance that Matthew Stafford did, you know, going from Detroit out to Los Angeles, and, of course, the flip side of that as well in Detroit. I mean, sometimes it's right place, right time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think my projected final score of this game was something like Seahawks 31, Patriots 7. So I figured it would be a Seahawks rout. I didn't think the Patriots could be shut out, though.
I mean, I didn't expect the Patriots to be shut out, but here they are, killing it.
I'm not a gambling person. I do not condone gambling in any way, but Seahawks minus, I think it was 4.5, might have been. That's like a money printer. That's free money. They're giving you money for nothing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not a gambler like that. I could be in a raffle with one other person and lose to somebody that's not even in the raffle.
Yeah, I got $200 on Chris Collinsworth saying now there's a guy, and I don't think he said it yet, so we're gonna
Really?
make
He
that
hasn't
happen.
said it
I
yet?
don't know. I've had it on mute all game, so I could not tell you. But
Let me poll the
Maybe
room
he
and I'll
has.
find out.
Yeah,
You know,
you
nobody
can,
pays attention to it like we would. Never
get
mind.
your ads on a gambling site that'll probably be illegal within the next 2 years. It'll be McWhorter and Sweeting back up at the front of the field once again for, I want to say, the 6th or 7th restart in a row here. Pace car will pull in. Time continues to run down. 15 to go here at New Hampshire as we are back green.
As we get back underway, the 57 in a three-way battle for P2 now has to hold off the 4 and the 04. My goodness, it seems like, McWhorter's able to step away from everybody, and with 15 laps to go, they're still trying to figure out who's going to finish on the podium with him as they go 3 wide. Watch the meat in this sandwich, Garrett Kinder, as he's going to have to duke it out. Kinder makes contact. Morton's into the wall, and he bangs himself down the front stretch.
Morton continues to stay ahead of that battle there. I mean, he's been mixing it up all race. He's had some mistakes, had some problems, but he's been pretty consistently up in this top 10 or so cars, getting in battles, getting in fights, and racing well out there on the racetrack as Wesley Burke will send it to the inside of the 57 car of Chuck Sweeting. This is the battle for P2. Sweeting has held that second spot for a long, long time now, but Wesley Burke will be the driver who tries to take it away as he continues to run back up the field, recovering from that EOL penalty he had before, or right at the start of this big sequence of yellow.
Garrett Kinder now having to hold off the 77 of Mark Whitley, while Joseph McWhorter continues to gap the rest of the field now by 0.3 of a second and then some. Week after week we talk about, watching some of these drivers set themselves apart from the rest of their competition. And yet again, Joseph McWhorter serving everybody their lunch. He's got the hairnet strapped on with 11 laps to go.
I'm running down for anyone to catch up to Joseph McWhorter and try to stop him from winning yet another race in the INVETS Grand National Series. I can't remember who it was last week, but my brain thinks it was McWhorter, who we interviewed at the end of last race, and he said, "I'm going to suck there. I hate that track." It was one of the drivers on the podium. I want to say it was McWhorter, and, well, he's certainly put on a show tonight. He's having a great race here at New Hampshire, and maybe making up for that. Might have been Mark Whitley, actually, because Mark Whitley was, McWhorter wasn't on the podium. I'm thinking of somebody else. Somebody said they were going to suck here tonight.
Looking out from the rear bumper of Joseph McWhorter, Sweeting trying to kind of set himself up for an attack here. But further back, all of a sudden, the 4 of Garrett Kinder has come under attack. It's starting to get dicey back there as the top 3 separates themselves. Burke now looks to the inside of Sweeting. Sweeting here working the high side, but it looks like Burke maybe going to have a little advantage here coming out with 9 laps to go, as now Wesley Burke passes the 57 of Chuck Sweeting for P2.
And Burke will be the driver who looks to pursue Joseph McWhorter and end his chokehold on this race in the last 10 laps. Gets a little loose off the corner there. You can't be doing that if you want to catch up to McWhorter, because that can really burn up your tires here, and it can really hurt your exit and prevent you from catching that car. With a 118-degree track temp today, you've got to be a little more careful on the exits, or else you're just going to run into problems, especially with you sliding the car around.
Yeah, I mean, Wesley Burke has been doing a great job trying to keep it between the navigational beacons. But, Mark Whitley doing a little bit better of a job now as he works behind Sweeting, trying to regain that, top 3 position, as now he's going to hurl it under Sweeting. 7 laps to go. I guess it's about time that he's decided to turn on the afterburners and grab that extra gear as we work in the very end of this race, making contact now with the 57. The 77 dives down here into turn 3 and secures 3rd position for the time being.
And by the way, Mark Whitley, as he makes his move up to 3rd, is running on 15 lap fresher tires than the rest of the field. He came down, he put that faster pair up on lap 73. So he's got a clean car, he's got 4 fresh tires, and now with 7 laps to go in this race, he's got that car in P3, and he is going to shoot for the gold here at the end of this one.
Joseph McWhorter loves to see what he's got out the rear view mirror. As Mark Whitley looking out the front windshield, trying to figure out a way to get up around Wesley Burke. Burke has finally taken to following McWhorter through most of his progressions on the racetrack. Maybe not necessarily taking that below the yellow line. Oh, that Whitney has now the 8th caution of the night going to happen.
Oh, Daniel Parks. Oof, that was close. Let's see what happened to the 9 of Barrett Morton here. He's going to bring out a caution inside of 5 laps, and he's going to get into it with Michael Jones. I don't know if that's anyone's fault in particular, just the coming together there. This is Barrett Morton's fault when he doesn't look both ways before almost wrecking Daniel Parks.
Yeah, really, he had one job here. Check the street and make sure it's safe to move. But with 5 laps to go, that also means we're going to be triggering a natural green-white checker for the time being. Should be natural green-white checker. By the time they go back green flag
I believe it will be. Are we going to have any fuel concerns? I feel like the answer is going to be no, because we've run about 30 of these laps under caution.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about fuel. In fact, most drivers should be a few laps to the good and then some. You know, I think with 8 cautions, and I think 6 of them, at least 5 of them have come after the midway point of the race. I would say that they should be just fine.
Yeah, I think we're going to see those cautions kind of saving drivers from having to play any kind of strategy here to the end of the race. Let's see what Mark Whitley can do behind the wheel of that 77 car. Like we said, 15 lap pressure tires. He's got a couple heat cycles on him, but he might have something to say. Now Joseph McWhorter and Wesley Burke coming down to the end of this race.
Yeah, going to be an interesting finish. And, you know, I think sometimes that's the coolest thing about Goat Locker Racing, about the INVETS Grand National Series. These folks have never let us down when it comes to finishing these races up.
No, we've always had some great finishes here over the course of these races. And we tend to have a lot of green-white checkered finishes over the course of these races as well. I mean, we've seen quite a few green-white checkered, some photo finishes this year. I feel like every race in the Grand National Series has come to a very exciting conclusion. And with 2 to go here on the restart, I don't think this one's going to be any different. EOL penalty going out for Michael Jones as a result of that contact.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I feel like race control has the toughest job in all of sim racing, but you know, Whitley having those 15 lap fresher tires, that's what I'm watching here. I mean, the Wilmington, North Carolina native here looking to the, you know, parked basically on the inside of the 57. All he's got to do is beat one driver to get up there to the front row alongside of the 72 of Joseph McWhorter, and all of a sudden Mark Whitley is going to be cruising his way toward victory lane.
As the pace car is going to pull in this time, it'll be 2 to go here at New Hampshire. McWhorter has led for much of this race. Wesley Burke has had a late charge, and Mark Whitley on newer tires is going to try to pass both of them. We're going to hit the extreme scoring restart zone, and it's a great jump for McWhorter. He shot out of a cannon with 2 to go, as Wesley Burke does not get going at all into turn 1.
Yeah, if anything, Wesley Burke just frustrated the 77, and now they're 3 wide. Burke gets pinned in the middle, over-rotates, and has to correct that as he was loosened up.
We're wrecking in the back.
The inside, they're wrecking. We're 2 laps to go. They need to get back to the white flag and save this race as Joseph McWhorter brings the field back to the front stretch. And as he crosses the start-finish line, the white flag presented by Glove Station flies in the air.
And Mark Whitley slid big time off turns 3 and 4, and that is really going to hurt him He's going to send another shot up the inside of Wesley Burke, but that 04 car is running him so far down the racetrack. Mark Whitley can't get momentum. He might get P2, but he's not going to get the lead of this one. Joseph McWhorter is going to come around through turns 3 and 4. He'll head down on the apron, and Joseph McWhorter, is going to take the win tonight at New Hampshire.
Joseph McWhorter crosses the start-finish line and manages to get the job done tonight. And for what seems like the millionth time, it's McWhorter and Whitley, your top two. It just depends on who wanted to be where that particular evening.
And he is going to get to burn it down here tonight in Victory Lane. Another big win for Joseph McWhorter. What a driver he is. He's always up here contending. He's always up here winning. Seeing that tonight. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have results and interviews. Stay tuned.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. INVETS can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. INVETS can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about INVETS, visit us at invets.org today.
Welcome back to the INVETS Grand National Series here in Gilt Locker Racing. We'll take a look at your race results. Joseph McWhorter, your race winner tonight, with Mark Whitley, Wesley Burke, Chuck Sweeting, and Judson Curtis rounding out your top 5. Garrett Kinder, Stephon Davis, Brock Price, Tracy Passons, and Frederick Seagraves, the rest of your top 10.
Finishing in 11th position, going to be Daniel Parks. He's going to be followed by Michael Jones in the 26th. Kevin Price finishes in 13th with Barrett Morton in 14th. 15th goes to Dave Calvert, while Chuck Pegleg Phelps finishes in 16th. None other than Gary Wright finishing the 44 in 17th position, with Charles Abert and Mickey Isaac finishing in 19th. Cody Turner finishes in 20th, while 21st goes to J.J. Issa. Armando Melgoza finishes in 22nd, with Ken Huber and Jake Ellingson rounding out the rest of the field. Ken Huber actually being scored 23rd, and Ellingson seems to be a little switchy there, if you will. But let's head on down here to Victory Lane for an interview with our winner, Joseph McWhorter. Hey, Joseph, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Buddy, listen, great run tonight. I mean, you led 88 of 100 laps, but you had some work to do to get up there. How do you feel once you get this thing cooled down in Victory Lane?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I was almost not even gonna race tonight because I don't like this racetrack. I struggle here every time I come here. I didn't really want to race it, and I was kind of meh in practice. So I thought, nah, I'm probably just gonna run top 5 all night. and just get some points for the over or the regular season championship. And then Mark seemed to struggle. Chuck fell back, and then we ended up getting around Mark, and we just started pulling away from everybody. Like, well, I guess we have a shot here. And then there's just no turning back after that.
Yeah, man, and believe me, you're not alone. It seems like a lot of these drivers that I've talked to over the years, oh, this isn't my best track, but they happen to be sitting in victory lane. So before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank Lincoln Tech, Safe 22, forgot all the rest of our INVETS, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, ATYL, all you guys for putting on a broadcast every week. I got to thank Outlier Speed Co. Go check them out at outlierspeedco.com. We're getting ready for Road to Pro. Those guys are going to be working really hard. So if you guys want some really good competitive setups, if you're going to be chasing that to try and get yourself in for the a shot to go Coke next year, go check out Outlier. We've got classes and stuff that you guys can do. So that's outlierspeedco.com. Red Camel Racing, go check them out at redcamelracing.com. Fire suit, shoes, helmets, you name it, they've got it for anything that you need for a race weekend. So go check them out at redcamelracing.com. You guys for putting on a broadcast. You guys do an amazing job each and every week. The drivers for a really good race today. I think that was a really good race, and I can't wait to go back and watch it. I hope it was a really good show. Um, Admins for the hard work, and yeah, ready to get into next week now that we're locked into the playoffs.
All right, buddy. Once again, congratulations. We'll see you next week at Pocono.
Yeah.
And that should bring up Sky. You should have Mark Whitley with you now.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Doing good.
P2 tonight at New Hampshire. How's it feel?
Feels good toward the end of the race. I don't really know if it's just something they've done with the setup or something with the track. It just felt really, really sketchy the beginning part of the race. Like I've never had an issue with it. Felt like I was wrecking getting in the corner every time earlier in the race, and that's kind of what cost us the lead. And just could never feel comfortable. It just felt like every time I went in the corner, it was the right rear was just trying to. It felt like it was on a dirt track or something, and um, kind of gotten a couple incidents there, and we were able to battle back. And then, kind of by mistake, I left auto fuel on, and one of the last times I pit, it just like didn't put any fuel in it, and I'm like, damn, it's driving way better now. It had like a lot less fuel in it, and I could drive it the way I wanted to, and I felt like if I maybe had a couple more laps there, I could maybe have something for Joe because the thing was on rails the last I don't know 10, 15 laps of the race. It was just I was coming, just I was coming from too far back.
Yeah, you had the 4 tires on there at the end of the race. What was the strategy kind of behind running that call?
Got spun out, so it's kind of like had to put new tires on it. One of those things, just so I didn't want to take it the last set when I did, but it was kind of like I felt like I was forced into it. So, um, it's just one of those things. Like sometimes you make strategies, and sometimes the strategies kind of just make you do what you have to do. So, yeah, maybe you've had a couple more laps, might have had something for them, or you just wish maybe early in the race I'd maybe put a little bit less fuel in it and figured out this thing. I mean, like I said, it was night and day. It was so much better at the end of the race. Like they're fresh tires, but I think it was mainly the fuel because it had a lot more nose weight and I wasn't wrecking loose getting in the corners. So one of those things, just never know what's going to happen.
Right, who do you have to thank tonight, Mark?
Yeah, all the league sponsors here: Jam Printing and Promotion, INVETS, V Speed, Alexander's PCs, Cruising Classics, GTR Simulators. Just one of those deals that everybody makes this league go around. Without them, we wouldn't be here. I appreciate all them. And then personal sponsors over here, Harpoon Design, putting together an awesome paint job. If you want one done, just hit them up on harpoondesign.com. And if you're trying to get a new gaming rig, sim rig, or just an upgrade, Jawa.gg's got you covered over there. #1 gaming marketplace out there. All the craziness going on with the PC industry right now. They got some good deals going on over there, and they'll take care of you. So check them out. And you guys are putting on a great broadcast, and all the fans tuning in at home.
Congrats on P2 tonight, Mark Whitley. And we're going to send it over to Dave, who is going to be standing by with Wesley Burke.
Last but certainly not least, Wesley Burke. Hey, Wesley, it's Dave up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Here's the thing. You start 8th, you finish 3rd. It's a hard-fought race, and you've managed to drag yourself through a lot of crap to get here. That's got to feel pretty good, right?
Eh.
Well, listen, it's been a long race. It's been a long night here in New Hampshire. You know, as far as I'm concerned, next week we're all about Pocono. We stay up here in the beautiful mountains of the Northeast. Before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and who helps you get it done here on the 04 team?
Jam printing and promotions, INVETS, B-Speed, Alexander PZs, Cruising Classics, and GTR simulators.
Honestly, congratulations, and we'll see you next week. Well, Sky, another one in the books here in the INVETS Grand National Series. And I'll tell you what, Goat Locker Racing puts on another great one tonight.
It was another great race, and like you said, we'll be going next week from Pocono. And I think that'll be a pretty fun one as well.
Yeah, I mean, Pocono, a home racetrack for me, essentially just about an hour and a half up the old Pennsylvania Turnpike from here outside of Philly. So I'm excited for that when we get to do a couple of home racetracks for me, Dover and Pocono on the schedule. And this one by far, the Tricky Triangle, my at least for me, the one that I'm looking forward to most.
We will see how it goes. For everybody at Goat Locker Racing and at V-Speed, for myself, Dave and Eddie, up here in the booth, have a great night, and we will see you next week.